All right, Khosi, thank you very much indeed for joining us. So, Khosi, I mean, there's many things that lead to one feeling hopeless during this time with so much anxiety. What are you picking up in your field of expertise about the challenges that most people are facing?
I think there's a lot of, frustration amongst other things that people have are feeling drained in terms of the duration of this crisis that we find ourselves in. People have had to dig deep. It is an unprecedented experience. Nobody anticipated or knew exactly how it would pan out and what it would mean for our lives. Even though there is some sense of what it means collectively, each person experiences it in their own unique way. And so therefore, there are different nuances that everybody is having to navigate individually that are part of what's happening collectively. Mm-hmm. So there's frustration, there's fear, there's anger, there's helplessness, there's resignation. There's a lot of pain because, we have journeyed through this process and we're at a time now where we have moved from the anticipatory anxiety when we didn't know when it was coming towards us and then it eventually just landed and we were not sure what this thing is. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're at a time where collectively we are now starting to hear people's experiences of loss. It was something that was distant. It was happening in China, in Europe, and so on. And then when it came, there was a sense of disbelief and denial about it. So it was very difficult for people to really take it in and buckle down. And we saw a lot of resistance and pushback and people kind of wanting to continue life as usual. Yeah. But now many people are starting to hear, if not directly of someone they know that has been infected, we are also starting to hear of someone who has directly been affected by it. So the reality is very palpable right now. And there's a sense of pain in a lot of people and a sense of helplessness about the conditions with which you have to navigate all this.
Yeah, and a sense of fear also of uncertainty, which I guess is gripping most people. I mean, literally all your plans for 2020 have gone out the window. You don't know exactly what's going to happen in the near future. Are you picking that up as well? Because obviously nobody knows what's going to happen in the next month, in the next 2 months.
Absolutely. Almost certainly. I mean, there was a joke that was made that the most useless thing anybody has purchased this year is a year planner. Because nothing has worked to plan. And people were saying, you need to take your year planner back and demand a refund because it's the most useless purchase you've ever made. But absolutely. So we are thrust into this anxiety of not knowing what's going on. So it's very difficult to plan. So we are living literally on the knife edge of life. And it is moment by moment. And if you look, for example, at the world of work, there were people whose sense of security in life was based on the fact that they have a letter of appointment that says they are permanent.
Yes.
What does that mean right now? It means absolutely squat all. We are all sitting with the uncertainty of not knowing whether you still have a job. If you had that beautiful letter that gave you a sense of assurance that you could plan your life, and you could buy things. Yeah. You could get into debt and creditors demanded that letter and it gave them the assurance that you could service that debt. And now none of that means anything.
I want to dedicate a little bit of time as well, Khosi, we're here now. This is what we're dealing with. But how do you continue to cope with, what is evidently now loss of income, job losses, and even more painfully, loss of loved ones? Because some of that physical comfort is something that's also lost in that grief. Your loved one passes away. And you cannot even have that, sense of being there for family, for friends, for anyone who is close to you because of the circumstances that we find ourselves in. How do you cope? Let's help.
I think there's different levels of palpability of the situation, right? In the sense that, people are experiencing different tests to their lives. It is a collective trauma in that all of us as the human community are facing and having to navigate this. But people's unique conditions. So, everybody has to sit with their plate of implications of this time and have to work out for themselves. And I think the three most important things is for you to have a sense of control over what you can control. And it's about getting perspective and it's about getting clarity. And I know that I'm asking that in a time of uncertainty. So the question in anybody's mind, and the logical question at that is, how do I get to work out what I am in control of when I'm living in a time where I am absolutely out of control with what's going on. But, unfortunately, life happens. And somebody, there's an expression that says life dishes out bombs and bouquets with equal indifference. And so we all have to find and create, not find, because find actually implies it's something out there that we need to find, but it's more that we need to create our sense of some compass that's going to hold us. And it may change from moment to moment, because today you may be feeling this is a traumatic experience. Our life is never the same as we have known it. We have lived with some predictability, and now that's gone.
Oh, absolutely.
And we don't know how long this is going to last and what it means. But we have to center ourselves in some ways. And it is about distinguishing between what you have control over, what you can influence, and what you absolutely have no control over. And work more in the space of what you have control over, because success, psychologically and emotionally, breeds more success. And it lessens that anxiety and sense of helplessness when you can make the most out of the things that you do have control over and influence what you can. And the more you can work in what you can control space, it has a spillover effect on what you can influence. And so it enlarges your territory of control. And then you are able to then negotiate those spaces that you have no control over.
Clinical psychologist Khosi Jiyane, thank you very much indeed. We'll take some of that advice indeed as we all grapple through this particular